I'm surprised every last one of you came in my class early. Well, that is great. So now, what y'all need to do is open your notebooks, if y'all even have your notebooks, and take out a pencil and write that. Look. Right there is where I'm pointing. So, if you're learning about Cleopatra right now, y'all gotta know that she is the most evil queen in Libya. In Africa. Yeah, okay, we will write that down right now. Yeah, and I'll show y'all a video of her. Yeah, you might as well. You're talking sassy with me, don't. I'm not even being sassy with you. You better not be. I'm not. Okay, all I'm gonna say is that you better not be sassy with me. I'm not. Oh, hello, you're yelling at a teacher here. Okay, can you just shut up now? Excuse me? Write yourself down in your notebook. Oh, whatever. If y'all writing this down in your notebooks, erase Libya. Why? It was originally Egypt. See, I knew this. Oh, yeah, you didn't have to prove me wrong. Now write it down. Oh my god, okay. Alright, class. I'm about to show y'all a video of Cleopatra. Alright. Yeah. And don't mind this. Because Cleopatra is actually the most evil queen in Egypt. If y'all haven't seen the video, watch that at home. And study about that at home, okay? Whatever. Yeah. So, I'm gonna play it.
Cleopatra, one of the most famed rulers of all of history. The story of her life is the stuff of legend, seductive affairs, true politicking, war, murder, propaganda, the rise and fall of civilizations. It has it all. She entered the world at a time of civilizational upheaval. By the time she left it, nearly everyone she loved was dead, and the newly minted Roman Empire had defeated a once mighty Egypt, ushering in a new era of human history. Welcome back to Nutty History. Today we're exploring the life and death of Cleopatra, the queen.
Nutty History. That's where this video took place from. Write that down. Okay.
Who stood between two empires.
Life and death of Cleopatra.
Some of this video may be offensive or disturbing. We, the makers of this video, in no way support or condone the actions of the subjects featured. Cleopatra was holed up in her own tomb in Alexandria, surrounded by heaps of royal treasure.
Put that down in your notebooks, because Alexandria is a state. So put it down. Okay. This is going to be a helper to one of your tests. And also, put that in your notes. We have notes down already. Okay, just put it in there.
The forces of Octavian, the soon-to-be first emperor of Rome, had her surrounded. They had just taken the city. This was it, the last gasp of an Egyptian empire that had stood for thousands of years. In Cleopatra's lap lay her dying lover, Mark Antony, bleeding to death from a self-inflicted stab wound.
Mark Antony was Cleopatra's dying lover. Oh, okay. Yep, so put that down in your notes, because this will help you in the test.
He had run himself through with his own sword after getting a letter from Cleopatra saying that if he were reading this, she had already killed herself. She hadn't yet, of course, but it was too late. When news reached Antony that she was still alive, a group of his closest advisors took him, bloodied and dying, to her tomb. There, he slipped away in Cleopatra's arms. Overcome with grief, Cleopatra wailed and smeared Antony's blood all over herself. She would join him soon in whatever Roman or Egyptian underworld awaited him after death. She would burn the tomb down, with her and Antony and a fortune of treasure inside. A kind of final tragic consummation of their love, and a big middle finger to Octavian. But
Wow.
before she could follow through, she was found by Gaius Proclulus,
What,
a
Tails?
close companion of Octavian,
That was insane.
and stop her. She was allowed to
yeah.
embalm Antony and give him a proper burial. But in the days that followed, Cleopatra the Queen seemed to slip away. A prisoner in her own tomb, or possibly her own palace, the accounts vary. She shed her regal air and dressed only in a simple tunic. But she was still as fierce and defiant as ever. When she met Octavian one last time, she spoke directly and bluntly. One of the only direct quotes attributed to Cleopatra, recorded by the Roman historian Livy, was, quoting, "I will not be led in a triumph." Octavian wanted nothing more than to bring Cleopatra back to Rome and parade her around in her defeat, a humiliating march known as a triumph. Cleopatra would have none of it, though. She'd go out on her own terms.
Asked all the time, Dr. Paris, what food should I eat to heal my arthritis? Well, what?
I hate when these ads interrupt my freaking learning skills.
But let's go back. Cleopatra was born in 69 BC. Her father, Ptolemy XII, was one of a long line of Egyptian pharaohs who were not actually Egyptian. He and Cleopatra were of Macedonian Greek descent and ruled over the Ptolemaic kingdom, founded in 305 BC by Ptolemy I Soter, who declared himself pharaoh after a power struggle following the death of Alexander the Great in 320.
Alexander the Great. 323 BC. Put that down in your notebooks. Alright. Yeah, that's what I'll be.
Who had conquered Egypt 10 years prior. The 300 years between Alexander the Great and Cleopatra have become known as the Hellenistic period. During this time, Egypt was Greco-fied in a lot of ways, and as a result, Cleopatra's early education was steeped in the tradition of the Greek philosophers. Under the tutelage of Philostratos, she learned about the Greek art of
Philostratos.
wrote Greek medical works, and had an unlimited access to the vast library of Alexandria, probably the most extensive library in the world at that time. She was one of the few Ptolemaic rulers to learn Egyptian, but she didn't stop there. Cleopatra learned a staggering number of languages, including Ethiopian, Hebrew, Arabic, Syrian, Median, Parthian, Latin, and Troglodyte, in addition to her native Koine Greek. Her
Y'all heard all
ability as
that.
a polyglot made her renowned for being able to converse with people from all over the Mediterranean without the need of a translator. A useful skill if you have ambitions to grow your empire, which she certainly did. But she wasn't
Y'all
a
should be
pharaoh
knowing
yet.
this. Put this down in your notebooks, okay?
Years and a whole lot of trauma before she eventually ascended to the throne. Cleopatra was born in a tumultuous time for the Egyptian Empire. The Ptolemaic kingdom was holding on by a thread, and had been for pretty much all 300 years of its history. Rome was quickly becoming the world's leading power, and by 60 BC, Cleopatra's father, Ptolemy XII, was in the hot seat. In 58 BC, Rome annexed
58
Cyprus, which had
BC.
been ruled by Ptolemy's brother, Ptolemy of Cyprus. The Romans accused
Ptolemy
him
of
of aiding
Cyprus.
pirates who were
Put
wreaking
all
havoc
of
on
that
the
down in
shipping
your
routes.
notebooks.
Rather than face exile, Ptolemy of Cyprus committed suicide, a decision that proved quite popular for a lot of the defeated rulers around this time.
Why did... I don't know who that name was. But why did he commit suicide? I don't know. I don't know why he committed suicide. Well,
Throughout the whole ordeal, Ptolemy XII remained relatively silent. But with the Egyptian economy in a deep recession, this show of weakness was the last straw. Ptolemy was forced out of Egypt, exiled to the outskirts of Rome with his daughter, an 11-year-old Cleopatra. They found refuge in the villa of Pompey the Great, a powerful Roman general who was then part of the First Triumvirate, a secret three-way alliance between Pompey, Julius Caesar, and Marcus Licinius Crassus, who were conspiring to overthrow the Roman Republic and set up their own form of government. Basically, they wanted to be emperor, but the complex set of checks and balances within the Republic wouldn't allow that. So they created this shadowy pact, vowing to help each other consolidate power. Obviously, backstabbing would ensue. Et tu, Brute? At Pompey's villa, a young Cleopatra met Julius Caesar. Seeds were sown for a future romance that would alter the...
Julius Caesar. Y'all will see this in the movie, oh Cleopatra. Okay. Yep.
course of history. But it would be a brief visit. With Pompey's help, and the help of Pompey's ally, Aulus Gabinius, who was the Roman governor of Syria at the time, Ptolemy regained his throne. In 55 BC, Gabinius invaded Egypt and deposed Berenice IV, who had been sitting on the throne since Ptolemy's exile. Berenice was Ptolemy's daughter, and there was a lot of animosity between the two. Berenice...
Okay, I think that should do it for y'all today. So y'all should probably head down to math class, because that's what y'all got next. Okay. Yeah, so. Yep. See y'all tomorrow. Okay. Oh, I see my class coming in.
Ma, you ain't got no allergy pill?
Alright, class, hello. Hi? Do you know what we're gonna be learning in math today? What? Ratios and rates. Okay. Anyways, I will be passing out the do-nows right now. Okay. I'm pretty sure y'all got y'all do-now by now. Yeah, we do. Alright. Now I'm about to... What the heck? Where did some of the papers go? Hold on.
Hi, welcome to Math Antics. In this lesson, we're going to learn about ratios. Well, what in the world's a ratio? Well, let's look it up in a math book to find out. It says here that a ratio is a comparison of two numbers by division. Well, that's true, but it's also a little confusing. And it's confusing because most of us think of comparing numbers as trying to decide if a number is greater than, less than, or equal to another number. But with ratios, we're not trying to compare numbers like that. Instead, we're really trying to see how two numbers relate to each other. So at Math Antics, we like to think of ratios as a relationship between two numbers by division. Okay, but how do you compare
A relationship
or show
between
how
two numbers.
are related?
Y'all should be learning this right now because y'all in 8th grade.
By division part really means. Let's look at an example of a ratio. Excuse me, that's not a ratio, that's a fraction. Oh, it's a ratio, all right. Mathematically, ratios and fractions are basically the same thing. It's just that when we use a fraction in a particular way, we call it a ratio. Well, sure, everybody knows that. Well, like I was saying, ratios are basically just like fractions. The difference is how we use them to describe things in the real world. To see what I mean, let's look.
That is true. Ratios and fractions are basically the same thing. Like if a fraction is like something that's between is a ratio. And we're learning ratios and rates.
Get examples of how we could use the fraction 1 over 2 and the ratio 1 over 2. Mathematically, these are both the same thing. They're just the division problem, 1 divided by 2. But in the case of the fraction, we usually treat it as if it's just a single number. For example, At lunchtime, you might eat one sandwich, or if you're really hungry, you might eat 2 sandwiches. But if you're not very hungry, you might just have half a sandwich. We can use the fraction 1/2, just like we use 1 or 2 to show how many sandwiches you eat. It's just that in the case of 1/2, we know that it's only part of a sandwich, just a fraction of one. Now let's see how we can use the ratio 1/2. With the ratio, we don't treat it as if it's just a single number. Instead, we pay close attention to the top and bottom numbers because we use them to refer to different things. For example, let's say we're planning to go on a picnic. And for every 2 people that are going on the picnic, we're only bringing 1 sandwich. In that case, we'd say that the ratio of sandwiches to people is 1 to 2, or 1 sandwich per 2 people. Do you see the difference between our fraction and our ratio? The math part of each of them is the same. But with the fraction, both the top and bottom numbers are referring to the same thing, the sandwich.
Yep.
However, with the ratio, the top and bottom numbers are referring to different things, sandwiches and people. The fraction shows a part of something,
Clearly.
but the ratio shows a relationship or a comparison between 2 different things.
A fraction and a
And you can
part
see that
and a
they're the same
ratio
thing
is a
mathematically.
relationship.
Because if you
1 to
did
2,
have the ratio
a
of 1
fraction
sandwich
is just
for every
1.
2 people on a picnic, guess how much of a sandwich each person would get? Yep, half a sandwich. Alright, so now you know that fractions and ratios are basically the same thing.
Yeah.
But since they're used differently in math, sometimes they're also shown differently. Once in a while, instead of seeing the standard division form, a ratio might be represented with this symbol. When you see a ratio written this way, it just means 1 to 2 or 1 per 2. For example, in this picture, you could say that the ratio of dogs to cats is 3 to 2. 3 dogs to 2 cats. And you could also write it in the standard division form. 3 dogs over 2 cats. They're just different
Amy,
ways to
write
write
it down.
the same ratio.
Listen to the video.
Ratios are used all
Write
the time to
it
represent
down.
all sorts of real-world situations. So let's see a few more examples to help you really understand what ratios are. Have you ever wanted to compare apples to oranges, but someone told you couldn't? Well, you can with a ratio. Now let's say a fruit stand sells 5 apples for every 3 oranges they sell. The ratio of apples to oranges would be 5 to 3. Or, have you ever helped someone bake cookies? The recipe might tell you that for every 2 cups of flour, you need 1 cup of sugar. That means that the ratio of flour to sugar is 2 to 1. Or, what about your TV screen or your computer monitor? Have you ever heard someone say that the size or aspect ratio is 16 to 9? 16 to 9 is the ratio of the screen's width to its height. So if the screen is 16 inches wide, then its height would be 9 inches tall. Ah, here's another good ratio that you might use in your car. 40 miles per hour. Aha! Didn't you say that a ratio was a relationship between 2 numbers? But 40 miles per hour is just 1 number. Looks like someone's got some explaining to do. Actually, there are 2 numbers. Do you remember how any number can be written like a fraction just by writing 1 as the bottom number? Well, 40 miles per hour is the ratio 40 miles per 1 hour. Well, I guess you have an answer for everything, don't you? 40 miles per 1 hour is a type of ratio that we call a rate. A rate is just a ratio that usually involves a period of time. Here are some common examples of rates. 10 meters per second, $12 per hour, 3 meals per day, 50 games per year. Notice that the bottom numbers in each of these ratios relate to a period of time. Seconds, hours, days, years. And that's why we call them a rate. Alright, so that's simple enough. But you might be wondering, why are the bottom numbers of all these rates 1? Couldn't you have a rate
How come we're learning
like
unit
90
rates?
meters per 9 seconds?
Focus.
Or $60 per 5 hours? We sure could. But most of the time, when we have rates like that, we want to convert them into an equivalent rate that has 1 as the bottom number. And that's because whenever the bottom number represents only 1 unit of time, like 1 hour or 1 day, it makes comparing different rates much easier. For example, imagine two cars driving at two different rates. The first car's rate is 120 miles per 3 hours, and the second car's rate is 150 miles per 5 hours. Which car is going faster? Well, it's not all that easy to tell when the rates have different.
Well, okay.
Alright, so which car is going faster?
I was like, why are you there already?
It's not that easy to tell, though. Yeah.
Different bottom numbers.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it's really easy to change a rate so that it has 1 as the bottom number. All you have to do is divide the top number by the bottom number. The answer you get is the top number of the new equivalent rate, and the bottom number is just 1. Rates like this are called unit rates because unit means 1. All right, let's convert the rates of speed for our two cars into unit rates so that we can compare them easily. The first car's rate was 120 miles per 3 hours. So if we take 120 and divide it by 3, we get 40. That means that the unit rate for the first car is 40 miles per hour.
These are going to be
The
unit
second
rates.
car's rate was 150 miles per 5 hours. So if we divide 150 by 5, we get 30. So the unit rate for the second car is 30 miles per hour. And now you can easily tell that the first car is going faster. And you can tell why unit rates are so helpful. Okay, so that's it for this lesson. We've learned that a ratio is basically just like a fraction. But instead of showing what part of something you have, it shows the relationship between two different things. We also learned that when one of those two things is time, we call the ratio a rate. And last of all, we learned how to convert a rate into a unit rate for easy comparison. As always, thanks for watching Mathematics, and I'll see you next time.
Come look what she did.
Learn more at mathematics.com.
I'm pretty sure y'all know all of that, and y'all supposed to be focusing on the video. Yep, so y'all should probably start doing your do now right now. So yeah, so y'all should start doing y'all assignment.
So here's the assignment. Did you say you don't have diabetes?
Y'all should be working. Yeah,
Go.
we are working.
Pretend you don't give him his paper. Okay?
What do you ice cream y'all want to take?
What?
What do you ice cream y'all want to take? I mean, they both. I just realized they both.
Y'all doing y'all work.
Can you give me my paper?
Oh,
Here.
No, he has to say no when he's doing have it.
no.
Can you give me my paper?
Okay. You should have got it a long time ago, but okay. Here. Put it there. Now start working. Okay.
Say bye to everybody.
He's working.
Alright. Just turn y'all assignments in and y'all can get out of here.
Okay. I taught my science and
Alright, y'all can go. Alright,
yes,
great.
sweet.